Welcome everyone to Whimsy Woven Stories. Here, we explore gripping tales of real-life twists. Join our storytelling community.
Two police officers dressed in blue uniforms pulled up to my garage in a patrol car. I watched them quietly from beneath the lift, wiping grease from my hands as I tried to read their expressions. It struck me as strange, police officers that cheerful, but their faces quickly darkened as they approached. After confirming my identity, they delivered unsettling news. Something had happened to my wife, Kate. She was in the hospital, though they couldn't share many details. I instinctively moved to leave, but they stepped in, pressing me about my whereabouts over the past 3 hours. I told them I'd been at the garage all day and pointed them to my mechanics, Mike and Pete, who could vouch for me. I did admit, a bit sheepishly, that I'd stepped out for 10 minutes that morning, around 10 a.m., to grab coffee for the team. One of the officers went to question Mike and Pete while the other jotted down the name of the coffee shop I'd mentioned. Then he asked to see my truck. Without hesitation, I led him outside. He inspected the vehicle thoroughly before finally allowing me to head to the hospital. When I arrived, my heart pounded as a staff member explained the extent of Kate's injuries: severe blood loss, emergency surgery, multiple transfusions. My concern deepened when I caught the doctor's oddly timed half-smile as he delivered the grim news. It felt unprofessional, even inappropriate. As I left the hospital room, the same two officers intercepted me again. This time they wanted more details. We sat in the cafeteria, nursing cups of lukewarm coffee as they probed into my marriage. I told them Kate and I had been married for 8 years. She was a successful attorney who had always wanted children, though she waited until she was firmly established in her career. Just a month ago she'd quit her job, planning to take some time off before we started trying for a baby, a final stretch of freedom before motherhood. Then came a question that blindsided me. "What can you tell us about John Barton?" I frowned. "I don't know anyone by that name." They exchanged a look but offered no further explanation before walking away. Trusting my team to close the garage for the night, I drove home, only to find forensic scientists and a detective combing through the house. The detective introduced himself and quickly reviewed what they knew before diving into the same questions the officers had already asked. Then he added something new. "There are a few drops of blood in the downstairs bathroom. Any idea how they got there?" I shook my head. "No idea." Then I looked him in the eye. "Are you treating me as a suspect?" He exhaled slowly. "We have multiple leads. My colleague is speaking with Mrs. Barton." The name stopped me cold. "John Barton, who is he?" I asked. The detective hesitated, then offered a quiet apology. "I can't disclose that." After they left, I stood in my bedroom, staring at everything as if seeing it for the first time. That morning, around 10 a.m. at work, my mind had wandered, just thoughts of closeness, nothing out of the ordinary. They say men think about intimacy an average of 67 times per waking hour. After a month of near celibacy, I suppose I was right on schedule. I was certainly above average when it came to those kinds of thoughts. Kate's sudden disinterest hadn't gone unnoticed. Her mood swings, the boredom, the constant fatigue. I chalked it up to her transition out of work and the looming weight of motherhood. I didn't press her. I understood that her entire life was about to change, and fear was a natural response. But that morning, I wanted to reignite something between us. Spontaneity, passion, a spark. I told Mike and Pete I'd be out for a bit and planned to surprise Kate at home. Just before leaving, Pete asked if I could take a quick test drive of a car he'd just finished servicing. I agreed, took it around the block, then headed home, hopeful. That hope dissolved the moment I saw an unfamiliar car parked in our driveway. A visitor. My chest tightened. Maybe it was just a friend. Maybe they wouldn't stay long. I entered the house and called out her name. No answer. Then I heard it, a sound no husband should ever hear. My whole body went cold, every hair standing on end. From upstairs, unmistakable sounds of pleasure filtered down, cutting through me like a blade. My hand moved instinctively to my phone. At the garage, I often recorded video when clients brought in their vehicles, just in case of false damage claims. That reflex kicked in now. Heart pounding, I climbed the stairs. I pressed record, then gently pushed the bedroom door open just enough to see Kit, a man I didn't recognize. Our bed. A raw, primal fury surged through me. I could have ended him right there. But somehow I pulled myself back. Instead of charging in, I staggered to the hallway wall and slid down, breathless, broken. They didn't even notice me, too wrapped up in each other. I don't know how long I sat there, paralyzed by betrayal. Eventually, the moans gave way to whispers just as painful in their own right. I needed space. I needed clarity. Moving silently, I crept downstairs and collapsed onto the sofa, away from the sights, the smells, the echo of what I'd just witnessed. And yet, through the agony, my mind sharpened. A plan began to form. Get him out first. Confront him. Humiliate him, swiftly, decisively. No violence. No evidence. Just shame. I knew exactly how. 2 years ago, during my time with the Army Reserve National Guard, I'd been tasked with clearing out decommissioned military vehicles. That's when I came across a stun grenade, a non-lethal device used in hostage scenarios. A burst of blinding light, 8 million candle power, and a thunderous 170 decibel blast. Enough to leave anyone disoriented. I retrieved it from my workshop, made a quick modification, attached a rope loop, and returned to the bedroom. I didn't stay quiet this time. The moans drifted through the door. My grip tightened around the grenade as I stepped in. I hooked the rope loop to the ceiling light fixture, letting the device hang halfway to the floor. Then I pulled the pin, pocketed it, and stepped back, pressing my fingers to my ears and clenching my eyes shut. Even through closed lids, the explosion was blinding. The shockwave shook the entire house, exactly as I had planned. I re-entered the room, ready to carry out my revenge. But what I saw stopped me cold. The man was on his back, motionless. Something was wrong, his lower half. Something was missing. Kate lay nearby, eyes vacant, lips trembling like she was gasping for breath. Confusion swarmed my thoughts. This wasn't the outcome I'd expected. I staggered into the hallway, struggling to process what had just happened. Whatever went down in that room was far worse than I'd imagined. Then, two horrifying screams erupted from the bedroom. Doors slammed. Something crashed. It hit me all at once. I was in serious trouble. My plan had failed. Again. Peeking into the room, I saw the guy tumble off the bed, hands clutched to his groin, screaming. Kate was gone, probably in the bathroom. I had to erase everything. I rushed back in, scanning for evidence. I found the detonator and quickly tied it to the rope. The rest of the device was in pieces. Satisfied, I took a deep breath and cautiously approached the bathroom. Kate was on her knees, throwing up into the toilet. I felt nothing. No sympathy. No concern. Just emptiness. As I turned to leave, something on the floor caught my eye. I bent down and picked it up, a soft, warm piece of flesh. The severed tongue tip. Without hesitation, I carried it downstairs and flushed it. There was no saving that. Trying not to make a sound, I slipped into the night. The distance between our house and the neighbors was just enough. Halfway to the garage, I dumped my pockets into a roadside trash bin. 10 minutes later, I was back in my dingy work garage. Breathing hard. Mind racing. I called Pete and Mike, my grease-stained loyal employees. They arrived fast, alarmed by my tone. Before they could say a word, I asked, "Can you vouch for me, for the last 45 minutes? "Of course, boss," they said without hesitation. But I raised a hand. "Wait. Before you commit, hear me out. This is serious. Once you know, you might not want to be involved. I'm not even sure what charges I could face. Maybe jail." I changed into old overalls and smeared grease on my face and hands, prepping for the cops. Then I told them everything. Mike cracked first, barely holding it together for 15 seconds before erupting into laughter. That set Pete off. Soon all three of us were doubled over, wheezing, struggling to breathe. 5 full minutes passed before we regained composure. With solid handshakes and renewed loyalty, they got back to work. Laughter still echoed around the garage. Kate was finally paying the price she'd earned. That evening, I returned home and cleaned the master bedroom. I scrubbed the bathroom floor. The bedding? Had to go. I made a mental note to buy a new rug. The ripped curtains would need replacing too. I kept myself busy to avoid thinking, but the constant stream of phone calls and knocks at the door made that impossible. The media storm was unrelenting. Infidelity and a man mutilated in the act. It was the perfect scandal. I answered the door once, then shut off my phone completely. Finally, with no distractions, I sat down and let myself think. Did I regret what I'd done? Strangely, no. I've always loathed cheaters. I've seen people crumble into someone unrecognizable under the weight of betrayal. But what truly shocked me was Kate. I thought she was as devoted to me as I was to her. Our bedroom life had been great, until recently. Hours of restless thought led me back to one strange detail. 2 months ago, Kate said she wanted to retire early, to enjoy her last days of freedom, she'd said. The comment hadn't sat right with me then. I'd assumed she'd work until her 7th month of pregnancy. But that one last celebration before kids? That now felt like a warning sign I hadn't recognized. My personal cell buzzed, yanking me from the spiral. Only a handful of people had that number. Caller ID, Kate's parents. They lived 3 hours away. I answered. Her mother didn't bother with pleasantries. Her voice was tight. "Do you know why there are reporters outside our house?" "We were going to find out eventually, but did you see the news?" I sighed. "Yes, Mom." No easy way to say this, so I'll just say it. The woman in the story, it's Kate. A piercing scream shot through the phone, followed by a click. The call ended. I stared at the screen, then remembered something important. That morning, I'd left my phone recording outside the bedroom door. The pain was still fresh, but if I never understood why she did it, I'd never trust another woman again. I'd die bitter. Alone. Suspicious of love. So I hit play. I knew what it captured, I didn't need to watch. I closed my eyes and let the voices do the damage. The camera had only caught the ceiling, but the audio was clear. Kate's lover. "This past week has been amazing. Does it really have to end? My offer still stands, just say the word and I'll leave Sarah. I'll marry you. Pause. Kate. No. It wouldn't work. That's not how a marriage should begin, built on betrayal. I love Dave too much to hurt him like that. Really? You love him that much? Because he's not the one in this bed with you right now. Silence. Then Kate again. You're wrong. I do love him. From the moment I met him, I knew he was my soulmate. I want to die in his arms, surrounded by our grandkids. A scoff. Then why are you here? More silence. I just miss the past. I was wild before I met Dave. I miss walking into a bar and feeling wanted, the thrill of flirting, the power. Lately, Dave's been off deer hunting every other weekend. 3 weeks ago I went to a bar. Just for the nostalgia. One night turned into 2. Then last Saturday, I ran into you. And now, here we are. I stopped the recording. The problem wasn't me. I had been a good man. A good husband. She was just cold. The next few days dragged by, filled only with one thing: disappointment. 2 days later, the reporters finally cleared out, leaving my street in silence. The hospital administrator called, asking if I could bring pajamas for Kate. I ignored it, let her sit in those humiliating hospital gowns a bit longer. Another 2 days passed and her father called. He apologized for Kate's behavior and asked if I'd consider keeping in touch with the family. Then, trying to sweeten the deal, he reminded me he had another daughter, recently divorced. Nice try, Dad. The guy Kate cheated with was back in the news. The media, hungry for blood, dug up his past. Turns out Mr. Not-So-Big-Deal was a serial cheater. The icing on the cake? Those surgeons managed to stitch his manhood back on. Most experts agreed it would never function properly again. Poetic justice. By the end of that week, I got an unexpected visitor, Sarah Barton, or Mrs. Barton, though she insisted I drop the formalities. A pretty woman with eyes full of regret. She'd heard rumors I might have evidence that could help in her divorce. I didn't confirm or deny anything, just told her exposing the truth would also expose me. She understood and apologized for asking. Still, something in her sadness tugged at me. I pulled up the footage, but only the aftermath. Her husband's raw, agonized screams played out. She flinched but quickly gathered herself. When she left, sadness wasn't the dominant emotion on her face anymore. I told her she was welcome to return if she ever needed a pick-me-up. That wouldn't be the last time I saw Sarah Barton. Saturday, the strangest visitor yet appeared. It was the detective who had come to the house on the day of the incident. Gone was the suit, he wore jeans and a casual shirt now. "Hey son," he said, standing on my porch. "No need to let me in. Just wanted to say, there's not enough evidence." I recommended closing the case. I thanked him. As he turned to leave, he paused and looked back. "I'm retiring at the end of the year. If I come back after that, will you tell me how you did it?" I just smiled and wished him a good day. Then came Kate's letter, arriving that Tuesday. "Dear Dave, I can't begin to express the shame and sorrow I feel for what I did. I understand why you haven't visited me and I forgive you completely. I never thought through the consequences, not really. I never imagined my parents would disown me. I know I've lost your love, your trust, and your respect. That truth hurts more than anything. If it helps your healing, I'd like to explain why I did what I did. Just know, this was all my fault. The doctors say I might never speak normally again. I swallowed part of my tongue during the incident. They're considering an experimental stretching technique to restore some function. I hope it works. I need something to distract me from the dull, loveless, childless future I now face. Take whatever you want in the divorce. I'll sign anything. Just, please, if you can keep me on your health insurance a little longer. Farewell, my love. I wish you nothing but happiness. I hope I haven't completely ruined your life. Kate, aka your cheating wife." The letter was so moving that I immediately reversed my earlier decision and sent her some pajamas. Now, where the hell are Mick and Pete's numbers? Do I owe them a beer, or a whole damn keg?
Thanks for listening. Share your opinion in comment section and also do like and subscribe to the channel.